The sudden passing of President Dr Geingob has deeply impacted numerous individuals and institutions. However, as a stalwart advocate for systems, processes, and institutions, ensured their continued functionality even in his absence. Today, we have the privilege of discussing the legacy of the late president with Ephraim Nekongo, the SPYL secretary. Very good morning to you, Ephraim, and thank you so much for making time to join us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
I think to set the scene for this discussion, the question that one would ask is, how has this death impacted you, and where were you when you heard the news?
Well, thank you. First, maybe let me once again start, as usual, to pay my condolences to Meme Monica and our brothers and sisters, the Namibian people, definitely for the loss of the people's president in all corners of our republic. Now, to come to your question where I was, you know, it was a Friday that some of us have to go to farm. I was definitely in Angwena region. And, but before I left Windhoek, is that time when the president already left and he is back from America. And being the people president, we have communication. I think before he left America, I texted him and he said, yeah, I'm coming back before, you know, because it was scheduled for more than the day that he came back. I think when I left, I was still, I text him, but surprisingly, you know, he's a person who, when you text, it will take maybe merely 5 or 10 minutes, then he reply. I remember I text before I even arrived in Okahanja, but I couldn't get the answer. Along my journey, I could feel something is not right. And I anticipated now to receive the SMS back. Until I arrived, I think in Nana, I couldn't get the reply. Until around about 4, when, I mean, that was on our Saturday. I couldn't get the feedback the whole Saturday. Until then, in the morning of Sunday, when I received the news.
A lot of people have come here and shared their candid and fond moments that they had with the late president. Can you share some of those memorable moments that you had with the late head of state?
First, I must say, the first cross proximity that I came across with His Excellency, by then when he was a prime minister, way back, I think in Ngwadiva, when I was a chairperson of Oceania Regional Youth Forum, we invited him to come and address young people in Ngwadiva. Through years, indeed, by then, through arrangement made by late Mandela Kapere. I remember very well, because he's a man of the people. I remember I had my own sikorokoro. And then when he arrived, Mandela is calling to say, please be punctual, make sure that you attend to the men. So I remember driving my sikorokoro now to go and bring the prime minister to the people. Yeah. And when I arrived there at the road, because I have to bring him at the road, I remember that very well, because I was in front with my sikorokoro now guiding the escort of the prime minister. And then he came, he addressed young people at Ngwadiva Elsen Center. That is when we had really cross proximity with the prime minister. Then back again, during the same year again, we organized, because we were very busy with the activity of young people, and sometimes resources is a challenge. You don't have the resources to carry out the activity. Then we have something called a tour de fundraising. When I led the delegation to Windhoek, we were knocking from door to door, looking for support for our activities in the region. And then definitely, as a man of the people, we knocked at his door and we were received at the Prime Minister's office. We went there, we told him about our programs and activities that we are busy doing. And then right away, by then he donated, I think around about, I can't remember whether it's 10,000, but I think it should be in the social media, an archive of the newspapers and so forth. And he encouraged us to work hard. That's where we then started. Then politics kicked in. I became now the secretary of Swapo Youth League. That is when now the cross proximity came in. Because from time to time you are called in to listen what are the views of young people. And that's what makes us now very close. I must also say, despite that everybody now is a person, is a people's president, everybody now is talking about the good memory that I had. I must also say, when it was not favorable politically to talk about the name Hage, some of us were there. I remember very well, we were very insulted during our campaign for 2017. Maybe start from 2012, when it was not favorable to talk about the name of Hage to some people. But I'm happy now that everybody is talking good about him. And one wonder, we do not want to judge people, but you wonder when they were talking about other things, those times when it was not favorable. But now he's a good man. I'm very happy to hear that. And in fact, I told myself to say, so Namibians, you must know that Hage was the man of the people. Hage has been the best president and the best prime minister that we can have in this country. Many called him names. Sometime I had sleepless night to say, what does this old man think about all these criticisms that come? He will always tell you, look, when you are a people president, he said, normally use the word to say, when you have tall trees among the short ones, the tall tree always catch the wind.
Most wind. You have described the late president as a champion of the youth, and of course you also appointed during his time. What do you think made him different? Why did he have so much faith in the youth taking over in comparison with some of his peers who felt that, well, you're still young, you're not ready for this? What made him take that risk on the youth?
First of all, he takes risk with young people, but what he's good at is to train them. So that he tell you that, look, one day when I'm not here, one day when we are not here as the elders, the youth should be able to take over. And then if I look and I listen to all who have described him, you can really tell that from Zambia, he has trained many young people. He really has faith in young people. He gives young people an opportunity to prove themselves. And when they are also stuck, he's available to correct them. I think that is one thing that is very good at.
What do you think made him unique in the sense of you approaching him as young leaders for advice and even being able to take on some criticism from an elder like himself?
Definitely. I said, I don't know what is the secret. He's a man of all the people. If you are young, he knows how to treat you. But I think I can also take it up to say what it differs from him is the character of grooming young people. He always believed in young people. That character of grooming is what is very important, and I think is a very unique character in him.
As the secretary to the Swapo Youth League, would you say that the late Geingob brought youth politics to the fore?
Yeah, definitely. At one point, remember, people, some of us were known as a favorite quote, say that we are a Geingob kindergarten. Many people doubtedly to say, if a young person is given, in fact, some people were very angry, especially when young governors were appointed. You'll hear words like, how can you appoint kids to their highest positions, what value will they add? But definitely, I'm very happy to say those that went and appointed, be it governors, be it ministers, be it administrators, has really proven themselves, and I think that has added value to his grooming and also to the opportunity that is granted and given to the young people.
Before we started this discussion, we saw an insert where the late Geingob himself was a relatively very young individual taking on the huge responsibility of becoming the first prime minister of this country. And one can just imagine that, you know, during his presidency, during his tenure in both offices, he still had that trust by saying, look, we were also young, but we were also entrusted with big responsibilities. Why do you think is it a bit difficult for some leaders not to do the same, to pass on the baton, to say, look, my time has now, it's almost run out. The energy is no longer the same. Let me pass on this knowledge that I've gained over the years to a younger, fresher generation.
Yeah, well, that could be typical selfishness. I mean, in some of those leaders that do not believe, because definitely biology has it that you can't be there forever. Somebody has to take over. Succession has to be there. It's a process but definitely one thing that I always say is that, yes, grooming is very important. Even when you have your own children in the house, you definitely already start processing and already know, oh, this one is good at what, this one is a good at what. So you already start that process, because one day you will not be there, and definitely somebody has to take over. So I think to my senior leaders, whether in government or in the party, it's very important that we groom, because grooming means that you keep the sustainability of the institutions that you are leading. Otherwise, one day will come that there is nobody to take over because they don't know what to do. Why I'm saying that is, typically, I remember very well one time the president took me for, I think the first one was a state visit to China. I was with him, and he said, young man, you are going with me, but all what you need to do is to observe how things are happening. So you can now imagine typical Nekongo in People's Republic of China, even seeing how the president meet Xi Jinping, how the meetings are done,
carried out, yes.
Are carried out, and you can imagine to say why was he doing that? To say that one day, whether you are going to be a minister or you are going to be maybe a head of any institution, this is how things are happening. It could not be Hage who could have given an opportunity to learn and even to know how the state visit is.
In 2017, there was a divisive Congress, and one would want to know what you make of President Geingob's leadership and ability at that point, you know, under all that pressure, his ability to unite people and, you know, and the party as well. How do you think he maneuvered through that, and how does it speak to his ability to read a situation and moves ahead like a chess player, if I may say that?
Comrade Hage is one of the tacticians, I could say. 2017 was not an easy one. It was that, okay, we are used to those internal campaigns of ourselves, but he was there to make sure that the party should unite. And that's why one of his mantras is that don't kick the men, but kick the ball. I think that's the reason why he was doing that, so that at the end of the day, after all our internal campaign, we should all come together and unite for the sake of the party. If you look at it very closely, I think he did unite the party. Despite that, yes, there are some few mixed feeling here and there, but I would definitely say that he have united the party, unlike in the past when you have seen many formations have been came out of the party, and political party came out and so forth. So if I can say he really relatively managed to unite to attempt and try to unite ourselves as a party.
How do you think the party, members like yourself within the party, can continue that legacy of being that unifying individual?
Well, as a party, that's one thing that as members of the party, member of the youth, especially the constituency I'm leading, we need to learn from. To say, there should be always contestation. Definitely positions are there and it can only be filled by one person. But that does not mean that when we have contestations, we must destroy each other, because we are only contesting for those positions. But once that storm is over, it requires again to reassemble and come together and say, well, what is the objective of the party? Why are we here? What is the reason why we exist? So that we can, definitely come together and then look at how do we then face our opponents, which in this case become our enemy.
Yeah. You did mention before that people did call you names because you backed him, and also given the fact that you were given influential positions, there was a lot of pressure, on why he was taking, like you said, a chance on kids. How did he come to your defense when you felt that you were being bullied and that the people the elderly people were not being very kind to you? How did he come to your defense, and how did that make you feel?
I think I will say thanks to President Hage that he taught us now how to grow thick skin, especially at our positions where we serve. Because you'll wake up with all sort of accusations, sort of name-calling, sort of all ill things that one can imagine. But because we have learned from the best, we learn how to manage it, and we learn how to live with first criticism, even those hard criticism. We learn how to manage it, and that's what made us to be who we are today. Because you can come from nowhere. We are always cool. We cool down. We don't parakata. We deal with things as human beings because we are told by the best commander.
One of the things that have been credited to the president is that he was a brilliant administrator. And when it comes to the crafting of policy, I think we had the best, not only in Namibia but also in the world. On Situation Critical, yesterday we had a discussion with an anti-apartheid activist, Dr. De Bruin from South Africa, who also mentioned that his ability to look into the future in terms of crafting policy was just so amazing that even the AU later on had to borrow some of the ideas that we have implemented in Namibia in terms of policy crafting. How would you say that the policies that he influenced have contributed to the development of our country?
Definitely, you're right. Let's start from the Constitution. Remember when the amendments were to be made, many criticism came in. Yeah, why enlarging this? Why creating a vice president position? If you can remember very well, it was criticized. Have it could not be done. Where were we supposed to be on the 4th of February? We could have a chaotic situation in the country. So that is one of the strengths, I could say, President Geingob has provided leadership to ensure that those provisions are inserted, because they were not inserted at the beginning. And him being the chairperson by then, he knew what was happening. Definitely, when it comes to policy, I think he is a man of I can say, maybe if I could say, is one of the doctor architecture for policy formulation of our country, and that's what have put us in the map. We owe that to him.
What do you think, wherever he is right now, would he want the youth to remember him as in terms of his leadership style and his vision for this country? If you could give a message right now to the Namibian youth, what would it be?
I think his message could be, well, I have taught you how to do things. I'm not there anymore. You need to continue where I have ended. I have given you all the weapons that you needed. All what you need to do now is implementation. If he could be here, he could be even boasting to say, yeah, look, you know, the whole world is praising me. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that is typical him. He could have told us and said, I have trusted in you as young people. Now the ball is in your court. Now that we are gone, we are watching you. He will lose the, I'm watching you. Yeah. So those intimidative, words. So
it was indeed a towering figure in every sense of the word. Yeah.
Exactly.
Lastly, as we go through this very dark period, I would like you to use this opportunity to give a word of encouragement to everyone watching this, and particularly, the young Namibians who may also be grappling with all types of things, and especially also this very difficult period that we're going through.
I will say, first of all, as I console all Namibians and give our condolences to Madam Geingob and the children, to my fellow young people, is that we need to tap from the wisdom of our leader who is gone. I think many things and good things that he have done to our country should be remembered on him. But one thing that we must not take to the grave is, as I said, is his wisdom and the hard work that he have put in for us to be where we are today. I think that is one thing that as young people must not forget. And we will remember him. I don't think there will be a history that will be written in this country where the name Hage will not be written in that history book. So condolences to all of us as Namibians. To Dr. Hage, we thank you very much for being the leaders of the people. We continue cherishing all the memory that we had with you. Thank you.
Ephraim Nekongo, thank you so much for opening up, sharing some of your most personal memories with us of the late president. And we wish you all the best in whatever it is that you do, and that whenever the president is looking down on you, he will say, yes, I'm watching you, and those lessons were not all in vain. Thank you so much.